Hello, and welcome to the Discover WellBeing podcast. I'm your host, Allison Adams, and today we're going to explore the power of somatic intelligence with my beautiful guest, Chen Lizra. Chen is the expert and founder of Power of Somatic Intelligence. She's a sought-after somatic coach and professional dancer, helping high achievers heal their nervous system and transform what's blocking them in love, relationships, in their career, and in their feminine leadership. Combining embodiment, somatics, and Mother Ayahuasca wisdom, she's developed a groundbreaking method over 25 years ago that delivers life-changing results. With deep empathy, born from overcoming childhood trauma and suicidal thoughts, she intuitively uncovers ancestral somatic imprints to heal emotional blocks. She has a specialty in embodying the divine feminine energy, and her TEDx talk with over 12 million views about seduction is phenomenal. Chen has been featured in the New York Times, Cosmopolitan, Oprah Daily, Women of Impact, and so many more. She's really helping women redefine and reclaim their voice through courage, truth, and femininity. So let's dive into the conversation with Chen. Welcome, Chen, to the Discover WellBeing podcast. I am incredibly honored to have you as a guest.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm looking forward to our beautiful conversation.
Before we dive in, would you be kind enough to share what well-being means to you?
Yes. For me, well-being is a rounded thing. So, a lot of people think of well-being like, oh, well-being could be your emotional well-being or it could be your physical well-being. I think of it as all of it. There's an emotional well-being, there's a financial well-being, there's a physical well-being, there's a spiritual well-being, right? There's different facets to us. And to me, when we're really in well-being is when we're living all of these different elements at the balance that's right for us.
Individual, just like
Yeah,
transformation, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
We
yeah.
all get
Because
to go through it.
one person might need, for example, more spirituality, and another person might feel they need more the security of the financial. It's a personality thing, right? An artist is not a financial advisor, for example. So we've got different balances based on who we are. A doctor is going to be different than a dancer in what they need, right? But there's a physical, there's an emotional, there's a spiritual, there's a financial, there's like all these different layers to us as people.
I appreciate you adding that extra bit about even the nuances that we pick and choose based on our gifts and our talents and where we want to share them with the world. And I know you have so many gifts that you've been sharing for quite some time. I think an origin story is always a great place to start, and it can be at any age. But I know that you have had struggles growing up, so maybe you want to start there.
Yeah. Um, I think my childhood was just very difficult. And it wasn't difficult because I had bad parents or because I wasn't loved. But my mom got mentally sick when I was 11 years old, and she was manic depressive, bipolar. And it was extremely hard living around that, the chaos, there's a certain amount of danger to it when she would lose control. Um, and at one point, everything kind of fell apart, and she was taken away to a mental hospital, and I lost my mom. And I was just 11 years old, and it was something that I felt really tore me apart. I had 10 years of suicidal thoughts as a child. I experienced a lot of bullying and being made fun of and rejection and kind of casted out. You're going to be crazy like your mom. There's been so much, and I didn't really do anything. I was just born. I was just living, and I was living a normal child life, and then everything kind of fell apart. And with it, I fell apart. When you have a mentally ill mom and she doesn't have healthy boundaries and she crosses your boundaries all the time, you feel in your body that it's wrong. Like I had a visceral reaction to it, but I couldn't stop it. It was my mom and she was sick, so it really kind of tore me apart. And it took me a long time to understand that my whole emotional foundation got fractured from being able to trust, to lean, to healthy boundaries, like you name it. I had to rebuild everything, and it took decades. It didn't take even years. It took decades to rebuild. So it was a very rough start. And, there's something that I say to my clients sometimes when they go and they say, my coaching clients, and they say, I feel like that's not fair. And I go like, well, that's the first thing you learn in life. Life is not always fair. It's like, it doesn't mean that you couldn't make something amazing out of it. Like, to me, that's the story that I've turned my life into something amazing out of that. But life wasn't fair. And nor do we have a control over something if it's fair or not. It's like whatever cards you're dealt with, and the question is what you're going to do with it eventually and who you will become.
Yes. So, was there a point that you reached in which you decided to take matters into your own hands
And
to
that was a
heal?
very interesting moment because I reached at around 20 and a bit, I reached rock bottom. There was no more bottom. It's
Mm.
either you decide to kill yourself or you start to climb up. And it was very miserable. And I don't know what led to this, but I sat at the corner of a street and I asked myself, do you want to live or die? And I just sat with it, and I was waiting for an answer to come to me. I was waiting to feel something that would be the answer. And it wasn't like a dramatic thing, or I was trying to get attention, or it's like I just couldn't continue anymore. And I was sitting and I was sitting, and I think it took an hour. And I don't even understand how that answer came to me, but after an hour, I had this surge of energy. I was like, I haven't done this yet, and I haven't done this yet, and I haven't done this yet. I was like, I guess I'm not done. It's like, and then I promised myself because of that, I'm like, everybody knows that like my intention is like get out of the way. If I decide on something, it's like just move, just move. Let me do my thing. So I decided that I would do whatever it takes to get out of it, whatever it takes, and then the journey began of a couple of decades of really doing whatever I could till I eventually resolved it. But it took decades. Like things just weren't working. I would try this and this will fall apart, and I would try this. I would think something's better, and it would fall apart again. It was just like trying and then falling apart and trying and falling. It was like it took 10 years before it stopped falling apart. And I would call one of my friends, one of my best friends, and I was just like, "Is it ever gonna end?" And she goes like, "Keep going, just keep going." It's just like it's good that you have friends like that believe in you. And ultimately, one day it stopped falling apart with all the work that I did. I didn't know at the time what it would take. I didn't understand. There was nobody like me doing the work that I do to give me the map that would say, this is what you need to do, and this is how you're going to get there. So I just kept walking. I promised myself I'm not going to give up till I get there. So I just kept going.
Oh, that is such an example of self leadership, especially when you're 20. I know it's common to have a therapist that can support you when you're young these days. But
These days, not then.
yeah, and for you to just know, and as you mentioned, feel it in your bones, or you're feeling in your bones that you're so depleted and you don't have another avenue. But I applaud you for that young spirit that kept going and saying, stay out of my way. Something will change significantly. So,
It's interesting because let me add one thing here
mhm.
that is interesting because some of it was my spirit, but some of it I credit to my grandma. And she's my
Oh,
biggest inspiration. She's my wall. My wall
oh,
of love. It says love, love, and the frames on the wall have all the pictures of the most important people. So I mean, she's there, even though she passed away years ago. And my grandma had this amazing feminine divine love. Like she was just like, ooh, like just delicious in her body and her love. And when she was my mom's mom, and she loved me like there's no tomorrow. She stepped in as like an extra mom for me because she saw how much I was struggling. She didn't know about my suicidal thoughts. Nobody knew. I wasn't talking about them because I didn't feel safe enough to bring it out. But she loved me and she saw me as who I am today. And she constantly gave me physical love. Like she would hug me and she would kiss me and she would give me so much love. And I really consider her to be my lighthouse because being loved like that, I constantly felt that there was more to life than what I was experiencing. And I like to think that this is part of what gave me that hope to keep going because there was something that I felt through her that gave me the courage to continue on. And I think there's another aspect to it, I think, which is really interesting, which I realized down the road is that since I was very young, I was competing in gymnastics and I was really good at gymnastics. So I had this discipline of training. And I think that's where the discipline of going towards something was so strong, because I was training like 5 hours a day, and I was like, doing gymnastics is not something that's just like, hey, it's like you got to do backflips and you got to be really focused, because if not, you can fall on your head, you can break something. So I think that also really helped, that discipline of being in sports and being so committed to the sports. And it's what kept me alive for a lot of years, is that I would feel so bad and then I would train through my body, and it's like I would get rid of all the negative energy and I would feel good by the end of the day. And then, next things would happen and I would again feel horrible, and then I would go and I would train. And I think that's why I'm so connected to somatics and to the body.
Mm, there's so much power in that. Even at a young age, you see self empowerment at such a young age, all elements to grow and discover. So, at what point did you find healing, though, through movement and embodiment to be the path?
It's a really good question. I think it's been a journey. It wasn't like a one moment. I've always danced my whole life. I've had a Cuban dance academy in Canada for 10 years where I've trained. I started going to Cuba to train, and then I was flying back to Canada and then teaching everything that I was learning. And as I was in Cuba and I was learning so much of what I was learning, like for example, the sabrosura, how to embody the divine feminine energy in your body, but also the elegance and the intention with your body and the joy and the seduction. As I was learning all these elements, something started healing in my body in ways that didn't before with other things. And I got really curious. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is this healing me? And I wanted to learn more of it. And I was curious to see whether I could bring it out of Cuba, and I could do it in other places with other people, and other could have experienced the same things. And at the same time, because I had a dance academy and I worked with so many people through the body, after a while, you see how the way people are moving, standing, walking is exactly, and dancing is exactly how they live life. So you come to teach them something and they suddenly lock up right away, and you go like, oh, so you're afraid when something new comes your way in life. And then you see them after a couple of minutes kind of relax. They go like, okay, so once you get used to something, then you relax. The way you're learning and dance is exactly how you're living your life. The way you carry yourself, if you stand, with elegance, or you're kind of collapsing in, all of it tells you so much about people. So I started seeing so much about people. And maybe we'll add to it that I was also a computer animator. So I was working on TV shows and animating characters, and, speaking through their body language. And that was because I was so connected to my body, but also because of my mom's mental illness, because I had to feel the nuances of her change. If there was like an emotional attack where she had a manic attack, something would change in her. You could feel it if you're really sensitive. So all of these things kind of started to weave into a journey, which I didn't even know what to call at the time. And ultimately, I also got curious about, coaching itself. I've learned coaching. I've learned different modalities of coaching, all the way to, over the years, to shamanic teaching now with a maestra in the Amazons in Peru, and a family that's training me on how to facilitate with ayahuasca ceremonies. It's a crazy thing to think of that 20-year-old sitting there, and then what journey it took and how much I've learned through, one, healing myself first and foremost, but then afterwards going like, I don't want to do something meaningless. Like, I want this to really be meaningful. I want this to be incredible. Like, you don't come out of a journey like this that was so difficult and go like, oh, let me live an ordinary life. It just feels like a waste of life. I wanted something that would be worth it. That one day I'd look back and I go like, I wouldn't change a thing. And to reach that point, someone said that to me one day, to reach that point where you go, I wouldn't change a thing. You have to really become something that you love so much and do something that you're really proud of, to the point that you go like, yeah, but I wouldn't get to be who I am, and I wouldn't get to do what I do if that didn't happen. That kind of like, led to this whole thing. So, and I feel I got there.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And it took me decades and many things happened, but to realize that we are co creating in every moment. And sometimes it doesn't feel like you are, but the way that you move through it, realizing later that you're exactly where you need to be to get to that next step, because spirit wants this exceptional, extraordinary life.
And to be able to, impact people in such a way and then hold space the way my grandma held space for me for others, I give them that anchoring. I hold them with so much love as they're processing, as they're going through difficult things, so that they can lean, they can anchor in me. I don't ever turn my clients into codependent clients. They always have to stand on their own 2 feet. But they, sometimes when we heal, we need to be for a minute needy. We need for a minute to run to someone who's going to hold that space for us so that we can let go, because we need to feel it to let it go. So I honestly see that as an honor of a lifetime, to be able to hold that space for clients, and my clients see amazing results. Like in 6 months, your whole life could be transformed like a 180 because of the work that we do. Because I felt like so much has been wasted, and a lot of people that said to me, I can help you, and they couldn't really. That I really, when I designed the process, I was like, I'm not taking on clients that I don't feel that I can help. I do, I assist them ahead of time to see if I can help them. And if we do, we jump straight into the good stuff. There's no, oh, do this and then you'll get to this. And like, we jump straight in, one-on-one coaching. It's like, you want to transform life, let's do it. And then you'll feel the change.
Yes. Maybe this is a good place for us to launch into your work and your methodology.
Yeah. So let's start with what it is. So first of all, the word somatic comes from the word soma. Soma is body. And there's so many people, now it's becoming more trendy, but there's so many people that say, I don't know what somatic is. And I go like, do you know the word psychosomatic? Like, yeah, right. What is psychosomatic? Psychosomatic is like you're getting um, like symptoms that come from your mind that manifest in your body. So we say it's psychosomatic, right? From the mind to the body. So somatic means through the body. And when we feel something through the body, we understand it faster. So somatic intelligence is the wisdom of your body. And what it is that your body is constantly communicating with you through feelings and sensations and telling you a lot of important things. And what happened over time is that we've become so dependent on the mind, and we're running so fast, and we're constantly in our phones, and we're disconnecting. We're disconnecting from our bodies, and we're too much in our heads, thinking, analyzing. You say something, what do you feel like? And they're trying, I feel that is not, I feel sad, I feel anger, I feel that it's like you're thinking about something, right? So a lot of the work today is something that used to be very natural decades ago, is to come back to your body and to be able to feel again. Now, when we have something that blocked us, and a lot of people don't consider that trauma, but trauma is not what happened to you, it's how it impacted you. So when something happened to you that was traumatic for you, you get blocked. It's as simple as that, because you shut down, as an automatic response to kind of protect your nervous system. And you find yourself suddenly like, man, this is not working, or this area is not working. Something could be love, it could be career, it could be your confidence, it could be your femininity, something that feels blocked. But when we really dig deep and we go, okay, what happened there that really impacted you? We find what we call a trauma. And then the trick is to process and release it. And to process and release it, we need to find where the root is, because what happens is that there's an echo that comes out of that, and it kind of repeats itself. And that's that pattern that we're finding hard to let go of and get unstuck. But if we try to get rid of the echo, another one will come, right? So we have to find where the root is, where it comes from, and then heal it at the root through different, the embodiment, the witnessing, the ayahuasca, like I used 3 different methods that I found are the most effective in the world for creating quick change, but is ones that we can digest in the body. It doesn't feel overwhelming, and it's sustainable, long-term change that remains. So we need to be able to come back to what happened and to bring to the surface what we couldn't feel at the time, because it was traumatic for us. So we shut it down. So we couldn't feel it. If we could have felt it, we could have integrated it back in, but we couldn't. So then we need to go through that. And that can be scary for us, because if we lock something up, the scariest thing is to open it again, because we're so afraid of what we're going to feel. But the truth is that when we're able to feel it and release it, it's like a smoke screen. You go, oh, there's nothing here. But when the body reacts, I have a client right now in I have a group I'm running right now, a group program for healing online. And one of the clients was like, is she's starting to open up in the program. We got so overwhelmed by some of the feelings, and she's like, how do I stop this? How do I ground myself? I said, you don't need to necessarily feel grounded all the time. You have to learn how to move through the discomfort. You have to be comfortable with not being comfortable while you're processing, and eventually you'll come out on the other end. So someone who can give you that grounding, that comfort, that it's okay, to reassure you that, and explain to you, interpret to you. I consider myself an interpreter and an emotional plumber, because it's like I know I know how to find the root of the, let's open it, but also an interpreter. A big part of that is someone being able to explain to you what is going on, and to help you so that you're not feeling so scared of what's coming up. But when I'm with clients, I'm like, okay, this is what it means. This is why your body is doing this. And then suddenly you see this shaking inside. So the tension comes down, right? Because now it's like, okay, so it's normal. Now I know. The same as when we go to a doctor and we go, is that normal that I'm having these symptoms? And if the doctor says it, then you relax.
Mhm.
The same with coaching, with somatic coaching.
Is there a demographic of clients you attract?
Yes. I mean, I find that women who come and work with me, they're typically between, not to say that there isn't anybody above or below, but the
Mhm.
typical would be about probably about 35 to 60. And typically ones who are doing well in their lives, but something's not working well while they're doing well in their lives. So like I'll like typically strong achieving women, and this one is working in finance, or this one is working as a doctor, or this one is like is CFO, or like they're doing well in their lives. But and not to say that there aren't clients that come that are not, but the typical ones are that, and then they're struggling with something. So maybe they're doing really great in their career, but love life, no matter what, always picking the unavailable man. Or, they're doing really great in their love lives and they've got a secure love, but it's like the abundance is not quite there the way they want to, or they're not quite sure about what's next. Like something's blocking them from daring go for the next thing, or they're going like, I lost my femininity. I was in a business world and I'm like in a masculine drive, and I can't express my femininity the way I used to, or never did. So those are typical ones.
Yes. Well, like all of us in our decades, it's a common experience, but it really is the stage and the season.
You know what's
And
really interesting? You're going to love this one. So when I originally wanted to launch the Power of Somatic Intelligence, the business in 2013 or something like that, I thought, wow, women would want, after the kids and all that, they would want the seduction. They will so want that, to be that sexy woman again. And so at first I started kind of advertising the business and trying to sell towards that, and it wasn't working. And then I took this company that does market research, and they did some focus groups, and they discovered that when women, after they had the kids and after like they start to have a little bit of more freedom, the one thing they want is that it's going to be about me now. Like what you said. So all they cared about, they didn't want the relationship and fire in the relationship. They didn't want to feel sexy necessarily, in the relationship. What they want is like, now it's me time. I gave to everybody. I did for everybody. Like everybody said the same. We were like, oh wow, talk about like understanding the audience.
yes. Yes. So you mentioned the ayahuasca as one of the methodologies. I know you have your own proprietary methodology, but one that you rely really heavily on and that I cannot wait to come and do a retreat with you is the wisdom of Mother Ayahuasca. So would you be kind enough to share what that journey looks like?
Yeah, so let's start with, those who don't know exactly. Mother ayahuasca is basically plant medicine. And when you drink the plant medicine of ayahuasca in the jungles, in different places in the world, then you're getting to speak to Mother Ayahuasca and you're receiving downloads of her wisdom. And she can help you heal, and she can also help you. I know somebody who mapped out a whole business and made 6 million and on sabbatical ever since. So it's like you can receive wisdom towards what you want to create and clarity, but you can also come with very deep things that are very hard to heal, or you want wisdom about something, or you want answers. It's like you're speaking to the source. So whatever you're going to ask, you're going to get the answers, and you're going to get so much wisdom. And in all honesty, I never planned on doing ayahuasca retreats or becoming a facilitator. And just to explain what it means to become a facilitator for ayahuasca retreats, is when you drink the medicine, you drink the medicine and you drive the medicine through intentions. You have to set an intention for the ceremony of what you want the medicine to help you with, because there's so many things in life. Like, how would Mother Aya know? And when you're doing it in its natural habitat, which is, I'm going specifically to Peru and I work with this, I'm not serving the medicine, it's the maestra with the thousands of years of the lineage of this wisdom that passes. When you drink the medicine with them and under the guidance of the maestra, then I drink the medicine for the clients now. So I went and did these ceremonies for myself. I've done in total maybe close to 20 ceremonies, but now I'm drinking the medicine for clients. So it means that when I'm there and I'm drinking it, Mother Aya is guiding me about what they need in their process of healing, which is incredible. I've never experienced anything like it. I wasn't planning anything like that. I did these ceremonies for myself, went and learned in different places, and eventually ended up with this family in Peru for my own healing, because again, I'm the best guinea pig of anything that I think of ever using. And it was so phenomenal being with this family, and they were so devoted to each person's transformation that I was like, oh my God, like I want to bring people here. And Mother Aya kind of said that intention in me and kind of showed me like the possibility. I didn't even think about it. Mother Aya was like, oh, organize a retreat. And it's like, I was like, nudge, nudge. I was like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to know. And before I know it, they go like, I said, what am I supposed to do? I come with them, and there's a whole package that I created, because when you go to the jungle, it's jungle rough.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, it's
That's it.
profound, it's life-changing, but it's rough. It's like you're in the jungle and it's jungle, So it's like I created this package because I know how much we need to first of all learn how to process emotions. So, coaching before and how to set intentions. And then when I'm there, I'm 100% there for them as an anchor. And it's like, it's so powerful. I had a client who suffered sexual trauma, and she never experienced someone being such an anchor for her. She said it was one of the most healing experiences of a lifetime for her, not just the medicine, but having someone anchor for her and be there for her like that, where her body could feel that. And while she's on the medicine, and then there's the integration after. So, like, there's all the work of helping them there, and then the integration after. And the integration after is so important because you learn all these things and you come out, and it's like you're trying to figure out how to fit that into your life, and someone has to be that interpreter for you and help you kind of ground the lessons so that you're integrating beautifully in, and you're able to hold that change. You can come back suddenly into like this amazing alignment, and you feel so powerful and so accurate and so ready to do anything that you wanted in
Mhm.
life. And you want to make sure that you really integrate so you don't lose any part of that. So I never intended to do that. Before I know it, I was like, hey, when I'm coming with them, what am I supposed to do? Like, am I drinking the medicine for me, for them? And they're like, oh, you're going to drink for them. And then it's like I got there and they started to train me and teach me, and they took me under their wing. And I was like, it's just I would like pinch me for a minute, pinch me. Is that really happening? Am I with like a shamanic, amazing maestra and her family in the jungle in Peru, and I'm being trained with the most amazing wisdom on how to like facilitate these things? Like, it's just like I'm still like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And in all honesty, like we're now working on the next retreat in July, and it's just um, each time there's another one and people are coming and they're joining it, it's really beautiful. And it's not something that just fills up like that, not where we're at, where we just started that, but it's like every person that comes, it's just such a beautiful gift to be able to walk with them on this journey. And I really consider that to be walking next to them, because it's
Mhm.
like you got to let them do their thing and you're walking with them, and then they might need to lean on you, and they might need, your guidance. Like, there's somebody who's about to join, and we were on a call, and I could feel that she could easily get triggered, and she's very intuitive. She knows what she needs. All I need to do is let her do her thing. And it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I'm so grateful that,
Mhm.
that crazy journey that I started at the beginning of my life, and how insane it has been. Like, look at where it took me in life and where I get to do. Like, this just wow. Wow. And really every person that chooses to work with me, whether that's in coaching, whether that's the retreat, whether that's the group programs, whether that's the retreats, it's just such an honor that someone says to me, I trust you with my most inner world. I'm like, thank you.
Well, to your point of where you are, you asked for extraordinary. So, of course, you're being initiated and welcome to walk with others. And as you said, to
Mm.
hold the space the way your grandmother did.
Mm. Thank you,
And
Grandma.
yeah.
She's here on my wall.
Yes. Yes.
100%, yes.
Mm.
100%,
And
yes.
so going on a ayahuasca retreat, the way you've described it, there are different ways to go about it?
So, first of all, there's medicine being served all around the world. And there's beautiful work done with plant medicine and also with psychedelics in general now. There's like many different trends now of working on traumas through that. And I think that there's room for a lot of beautiful work to be done everywhere around the world, not just in one place. But having said that, I really think that the place to go and do the work is in its natural habitat, and I'll tell you why. First of all, um, when you're doing ceremonies by someone who's got the wisdom, either because they're in that lineage or because I know, for example, two that have been trained by amazing shamans in Colombia, and they're facilitators, and they go around and they serve medicine, and they've trained for 10 years before they became who they are,
Mhm.
and able to serve medicine. But they have the wisdom of those that transferred to them. I'm saying that not in any way to put down anybody else, but to say that just to be careful, because there's also a lot of people serving medicine that don't know what they're doing. And sometimes clients say to me when they're coming at the beginning, they're like, maybe I'll do a little bit of research online. I said, no, no, the one thing you don't want to do is research online, because there's so many horror stories of people that have done it not the right way, not with the right guidance. If something happens to you, like, to give you an example, one of the ceremonies for myself. And by the way, when you're drinking medicine with someone who's trained, they're supposed to always drink with you, because who's guiding them to tell, like, the master is always going to drink with you.
Yeah.
The son and daughter who are shamans as well, the facilitator is always drinking that. Everybody's supposed that's taking care of you is supposed to be on the medicine to be able to hold that medicine. Part of what they're training me is how to hold the medicine so that I'm not too much in my process and I'm enough for them. And that takes kind of like, that's part of what you're learning to facilitating, which is different. But when you're doing it in its natural habitats, so first, if you're in a safe place, when I found them, I couldn't go to a place that I knew and somebody that I trusted. And I was looking for a place that would feel safe and had that kind of wisdom. And I search, and eventually found them, and then got a call with the facilitator. As soon as I felt him, I said, I know the feeling. I know this is it. Right. And this is part of what I'm doing in that sense, because, for people that know me, is that they know they can trust me, that I will not put my name to something that is not incredible. So if I say to them, this is safe, those clients that went with me, they go like, I trust you. If you tell me this is safe, then I'm coming with you. They do medical intake, and they check to see that I said to them, like, what happens if something happens to someone 15 minutes away, there's a doctor. It's like checking that not every place has that, right? So it's the wisdom, it's the place, it's if something happened, like, the maestra would know what to do. I drank, so when you're doing it in Peru specifically, you're not doing just plant medicine, the ayahuasca, you're also drinking plant dieta. So the maestra meets you and she has a meeting with you, and you tell her more or less your story, which I help you prepare for. And then she decides which plant master guide she's going to assign to you. And every morning you're drinking a glass of that plant guide, and she's guiding you throughout the week. One trip I went, I'm not going to say the name so that people don't get scared if someone gives it to them. They assigned a specific master plant to me. And she said, they kind of told me, you're going to get sick, and then you're going to be fine. And that's part of the thing to make your body stronger, because they wanted to build my resilience so that there's more abundance. And I get sick, and I get so sick that the next day I'm dead. Like, I'm feverish, and I'm sick beyond what seems okay. And the maestra wasn't there. She went to town. So they said, you have to wait for the maestra. So they put me in the maloca where everybody normally is, and to wait for her. And then she comes at one point. She came back. She checked me, and she started to check my stomach and this and that. She has different ways of doing it. And then she brings this lemon and salt. And lemon and salt break the dieta in the body. It stops the process. She gives me this lemon and salt, and she says, like, eat this. And I'm like, oh, we're breaking the dieta? She said, yes. And then my body reacted so extreme to it, but she knows. I don't even worry. Even if my body goes crazy, I was there for a couple hours till she came back. I wasn't even worried, because I know her. I know that she knows what she's doing. I know that if that was something really urgent, they would call someone, before. And then the whole week I was sick. I was in and out and in and out of it. And I was like, can I drink the medicine? She was like, yes, you can. And there was even a night where it was part of the process of what my body needed to heal, to learn from this master planned guide. And there was one ceremony, I was drinking the medicine, and I went, someone helped me go to the washroom because I was so weak. And I couldn't come back. I couldn't come back to the room. And at one point I was just like shaking, and it's like I lay on the ground. I couldn't even stand up. And she, Mother Aya told her. She came. I wasn't even inside. She came, and she starts like, and I'm there and I'm shaking, and they brought towel, blankets. They put it on me, and then she starts doing something like this. She people massaging my stomach. In 10 minutes, it was all gone. The fever was gone. I could get up, and I got back to my bed. So when you're with someone like that, it's not the same as when you're going somewhere. Yes, the journeys are big, they're not small. You're trying to release from your body something that's been there your whole life, that's rooted, that needs to come out. It's not going to come out but going like, I see you, it was nice. This comes out. It comes out. When it comes out, it comes out. So those are big journeys in that sense, to release it from the body. It's very somatic, it's very visceral. And that's why I think it's so important to do the pre-preparation, the during, and the after, to help you move through that, so that you're not scared. So that when something, something like that happens to me, I'm not even scared. I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm in a safe place. I know that it's going to be 10 times better afterwards. So it's worth it if it's a bit tough, for the duration of it. The first journey I went with them, I came to release what was blocking me in love. And then I found the love of my life, like the most incredible divine love. And that's what I wanted. So was it worth it, the hard night? Yes. Yeah. So, the before and after, right? So if you know that you can trust, and you know that the place is safe, and you know that the people that are holding space for you are sacred, and the wisdom is there, then it's easy to go through the transformation and get what you want. And it's really important that people don't go where it's unsafe. And I'm not talking about people who are doing great work. There's also people around the world that are doing great work, but as long as they're not going somewhere that's unsafe.
Yes. Well, as you described it, she was caring for you along the way, but at the very end, it felt very much like a birth slash rebirth. And we know what happens after that. You have the gift of a child, and you have to go through that in order to get the miraculous on the other side.
What's really amazing is that the last trip, because I was facilitating, and I didn't really know what to expect facilitating because it was the first time, but because I was facilitating, um, I got to do that for somebody else. And well, all my clients, but one specific one who was like me, on the ground and couldn't even walk. And I've been there. I've done that as the client, and now being able to be that person who hold that space for that person, for them to rebirth like that. It's such a great term.
So, Hen, I feel like I've been at a ceremony with you and your clients, but I know you've done remarkable things like speaking to audiences, a TED Talk in particular. Do you want to share what inspired you to do a TED Talk?
Well, I think that I wanted to get on a big stage to say a message. And I think that at the time, like, I didn't necessarily think, it's a long story of how I got to the subject. We're not going to get into it because we're not going to have enough time. There's a whole other podcast just for that. But um, there was something about speaking about seduction, which is like a place where they told me right away, if you do this right, you get 50% lovers and 50% haters in the world. Are you ready for it? And by accepting that, having that kind of a voice to speak your truth, and have the courage, and to be in that alignment with yourself, where you know who you are, to be able to go on stage and behave in such a seductive way, was a very powerful thing that took a lot of work. It didn't come easy to me. I'm somebody who was so afraid of rejection because of what I experienced in my childhood. That was part of the trauma. So getting on a stage when someone tells me to begin with 50% are gonna reject you for it in the world, that was a scary thing to do, but it was also so empowering. And in all honesty, I think that what was so unique about the TED Talk was the visceral aspect of it, the somatic aspect of it. I'm not talking about seduction, I'm being seduction. and at the same time, coming in a very classy researcher type of attitude to speak about it and not in a sleazy or vulgar kind of way. Then someone wrote me on Instagram, I think it was, no, it was on Twitter at the time. And it was like, I wish my daughter had your confidence, and it's like, and you saw comments like that with like, oh, I wish I had the confidence of Chen Lizra, or just the being able to show up in the world like that and give that example to women was very powerful. And there's something I want to say about the TED Talk, which I think is really important. Is like sometimes people go like seduction, healing. What's the connection between the two? Like, how do you even put them together? And I think that what is really important to understand is that I started to speak about seduction because I was in Cuba for so many years and I trained through the body for so many years. And seduction is such a natural thing for them. It builds for them confidence and beautiful body image where they don't feel flawed constantly and like imposter syndrome, but they feel they're so proud. And I was like, what the hell are they doing here? And as I was learning this, I was learning to also connect with the divine feminine and learning to seduce. I was really learning to love myself and to have a higher self worth and to feel proud of who I am. And there was something about that that was so healing that ultimately that was what the somatic intelligence came to be. But at the time, I was so mesmerized with the seduction itself that I was talking about the seduction. Now, seduction is part of the whole thing of claiming our true nature, coming back to that true nature that we were born with before things, got off the rails. So it seems as if it's not connected, but it's very much connected.
I think the jungle is seductive.
Oh my God,
What?
do you know what it's like to sleep at night in a tambo and
Oh,
your walls are a net and you're hearing the rain and you're
oh,
hearing the animals. It's like, and the plants speak to you through the plant medicine and the plant dieta, and you're just, it's a spiritual, a deep journey that's just so hard to explain. Like I write about it in my blog, the real stories of what happened, what I felt, what I thought. It's just a crazy story.
oh, goodness. Okay, so beyond the ayahuasca retreat, let's take the focus to love because you had opened up the
Mm.
conversation to your last request to Aya, and it was to find love. And in fact, you have. Do you want to share how that unfolded?
Well, I've been on this journey of wanting like that kind of love for a very long time, and it started and evolved over the years because at first I was picking everybody who was like my mom and trying to save them, and everything was like broken and there was like constantly problems. Then, at one point I picked unavailable men all the time. And it was really scary to like find somebody who could actually meet me because my mom couldn't meet me. So it was kind of hard, This is what I call the shifting your love frequency, how you learn to be loved by your caregivers, whether that was parents or somebody else. And then you search for that because that's what your body knows is love. So you're searching for it. And if it was unhealthy, you're bonding unhealthy. So it took me a long time to learn how we reprogram that. It took me decades to figure it out. And that was one of the hardest things to heal from everything that broke down with the love relationships. And I wanted a divine love. And the final piece was, I already done so much work. I already was in such a great place. I already was in good relationships. But it wasn't it. And I went to Mother Aya and I wanted divine love, divine union. And then I came back and someone who was right under my nose for half a year and I couldn't even see him was just like, I suddenly like after the like Mother Aya was like, him. I'm like, what? And I was like, oh, you know, it was interesting because we both dance. We dance Kizomba, which is a very sensual dance from Angola. And we knew each other through the dance. And every time we would dance, there was like this magnet. And we were like, no, no. Just like, and then after Mother Aya was like, that's the one, I was like, surrendering. They tell me that's the one. And I've never had in my life such an amazing love that's it's just so incredible and so divine and so I don't even have words to describe how delicious this love is. And that kind of inspired a divine connection. So we launched for next year a program to teach people how to be in this amazing emotional intimacy that's divine and release, the things that are blocking us through Kizomba dance.
Mm.
And I'm combining it also the embodiment stuff and the sabrosura and learning how to embody the elegance, like together with the dancing and amazing mentors, not just us who are teaching in it. So the idea of it is that people will fly to Lisbon which is magical in itself, which is such a feminine city where Kizomba is danced here so much. Like, it's unbelievable. It's like a heaven of Kizomba. And then to do this beautiful program for, opening up to divine love or bringing that divine love into your existing love.
Well, it sounds exquisite. And regardless of what anyone has gone through, we are all deserving of this exquisite love, and to be able to move ourselves within ourselves and then with another in dance and through life. And that is how I'm seeing this invitation.
It's 5 days. And one of the things I think I love so much about the program beyond what I talked about is that people will get to experience my partner, because he has certain things embedded in him that are just, it's obvious to him that that's the way it is. And they're so not given in love relationships and men, that to have him, both for the women to experience what a man like that is and for the men to learn from him.
And is it for couples or
For
singles
us
or
to
both?
like both.
Great.
Both.
Okay. How would you like to end the podcast?
People can find me through the website, the Somatic Intelligence.com. And I'm always on Instagram. That's my favorite place to be, like from the social media platforms, either that or LinkedIn. Like people, but Instagram is more for socializing, LinkedIn is more business like. So usually those are the places where I can be easily found. And I did want to leave something, somaticgift.com. So we've got 2 beautiful free masterclasses there. One for how to shift your love frequency in the body for those who are struggling in love. And the other one is Divine Femininity Masterclass to learn how to embody your divine femininity. So somaticgift.com, they can find it. It's free and they can come and join.
Oh, thank you. Generous and graceful. I welcome you back in the podcast.
Thank you.
Because I know that there is so much to explore, knowing that we're all presented with just our next wish and desire for evolution. And when you have a guide, mentor that you trust and respect, then it just makes it that much easier. Thank you for sharing all of your stories and your work with my listeners. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me today and for hosting this in such a beautiful way that unfolds it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Hen. Are you enjoying the Discover WellBeing podcast? If so, I would love to hear about it. Leaving a review helps more people find us and really makes a difference. So share your thoughts on Apple Podcast or your favorite platform.